Welcome back to the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast, episode 4. Joined with me today is Daniel Claridge. Say hello, Danny.
Why are you talking like that?
It's been a while I'm talking like that. It's my professional voice.
Alright, okay.
But no, weather's been nice today.
Weather's been lovely, yeah.
It's the most British thing to say every time you greet a British person. Always talk about the weather first. But no, so Danny, playing up front this season, he's scored 6 goals. How many games did you play?
Well, in the League 7.
7 games, 6 goals. Ended up the 5th top goal scorer in Group A in the National Amateur League. You're currently playing for Msida St, Joseph, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where did you guys finish? You finished 5th in the group.
Something like mid-table,
Yeah, just scraped playoffs, and then in the first round of the playoffs you came against Mtafa and it ended 3-1 to Mtafa, who eventually went on to win promotion. They also beat us in the final decider. They beat us, they battered us 4-1. We didn't turn up, we had a shit game. Tell me about the season. So you joined in January, right, or just at the end of December?
Yeah, so I'll start the season. I started off with St. Well, I was doing pre-season with Kirkcop after last season's playoff final, and I was thinking, okay, I might start with Kirkcop.
That was right, because I even went there at the beginning. Yeah, you almost did the Lionel Messi Aguero situation on me.
Yeah, I know. So I was going to sign there or stay there, but I just didn't really see the way we were going to progress there.
Yeah, the vision didn't really match up, did it?
No, so we lost a few players from last season, and they didn't sign any replacements, and I was looking at some of the replacements, and I was just thinking, yeah, it could be a bit of a challenge.
A bit of a dire, situation.
Disrespectful, but it looked a bit of a challenge. And then I just got speaking to somebody at the committee at St. Clair, and then coach Trevor Thomas. And he just said, do you want to come on down training? So I actually did a bit of a naughty when I went training with St. Clair, and I still signed with Kirkcop.
Okay.
And I trained a few times, and then, oh mate, this podcast will be good, we've got some good funny stuff. Yeah, so basically, I was training with them, and then some committee members from Kirkcop, they heard that I was training with St. Clair, so they turned up at the ground and started shouting at the coaches.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, they started shouting, and I basically said to them when I was there, they'd signed another foreigner, and I said to them, why are you signing another foreigner when I'm there? So, well, that season we got to a playoff final. I was like, I don't want to play half the games, I don't want to come off the pitch. So when St. Clair came to me and I saw it was looking grim, St. Clair just got relegated from Premier League, so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go here. So I kind of pushed the move. If I had told Kirkcop that I wanted to go and train, they would have asked for money immediately.
Exactly.
And made it really hard. In the end, St. Clair still had to pay money for me.
Okay.
So, they paid the money, we all shook hands, and we left it like that. But let's just say that with Kirkcop, there's going to be a bit of a bad taste in the market.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit hard.
Well, I remember you talking to me about the move, and you ended up actually transitioning position there, didn't you? It was your first step up into the Challenge League, which you'd been wanting to push for the last maybe year or two.
Yeah.
Having proven yourself in the Amateur League pretty comfortably as one of the most reliable strikers in the league. It's only natural to want to move up in competition and prove yourself in the league above and see how you... So you got given your opportunity to play for St. Clair in the league above. How far into the season was it that the coach wanted you to transition from up front into midfield?
Well, when I went, it was during pre-season, so we just finished in the pre-season with St. Clair, and I was working there. We didn't have any foreigners, we only had me, because when I got to St. Clair, it was quite challenging times because they just changed owners. They got relegated from the Premier League, so there wasn't a lot of money flowing there at the time, and they'd not got their foreigners in place, so I was the first one that came in. And at the beginning I started playing as a striker, and then we signed 2 foreigners, and one of them was a really good keeper called Andres.
A friend of mine, good player. I played with him in Tarshin in the Premier, and then he's kind of filtered his way down the leagues, but he's settled quite well in the Challenge League. He's quite a good player in that league.
Yeah, he's a good lad, but we saw that like his pace made sense for us up front.
Yeah.
And I played left back, I played centre mid, I've played right back, I've played centre back,
Yeah.
striker. I don't really mind, I can play anywhere. So we just realised that during pre-season I actually kind of got pushed out to the wing.
Okay.
And then we brought in another player, so we had a centre back who was a Brazilian, an African centre mid, and then Andres. And I was looking a little bit like, this is looking grim because the spine of the team's there.
Starting to push you away.
And in the end, Ezekiel, the African guy, we played the first game of the season and he got injured. And then the coach is looking around, got nobody sent him in, said, Danny, can you just go in there? I said, yeah, and I played better than him. So I started playing better than him. From the first moment I started playing, I put some tackles in. My first actual thing I got in Challenge League was a yellow card.
I was going to say, your play style really kind of matches well to playing in midfield in Malta. You're one of those kind of rough, around the edges, put your body around, let people know that you're there, you're a physical presence, and obviously you've got that wand of a left foot that can pick out a pass from anywhere on the pitch. So
yeah, it comes from the days in England too.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of Sunday League and stuff, getting stuck in. I've been playing against blokes since I was like 15, 16, so when you end up coming into these situations, you need to look after yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I got put into centre midfield, it was just natural for me to run around tackling people, ball passing it, and it just I ended up playing the rest of the half season there.
Yeah.
But it was the things going on behind the scenes that made me leave Sengler.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a bit of an abrupt leave from you, wasn't it? I didn't see it coming. I thought you were probably going to be there till the end of the season, not knowing what was happening behind the scenes. So can you shed a bit more light on that?
Yeah, well, the coach that took me there got fired.
Yeah.
So the guy that actually took me there got sacked, and we had this other coach that come in that I won't mention his name.
No.
He's a nice bloke, but let's just say like his style of coaching and training didn't
fit well with you.
No, it wasn't that good. But also I was actually a bit fed up because I got to Challenge League and I expected much more. I was wanting to get to Challenge League for so long, and then I got there and I was a little bit like, well,
underwhelming.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's some like your top 3 or 4 teams in both sides are really good, and the rest are just probably top end Division 2 teams.
Exactly. The gap isn't very big unless you're at the top end where they're actually shedding out a lot of money.
That's where their 3 foreigners are the ones that sort of make the difference in those teams.
Yeah.
But in the bottom ends in the mid-table, it wasn't that good, and the style of football wasn't that good either.
It doesn't change.
No, so I actually just spent all my time trying to get there, and I got there and I was a little bit like, well, this is not that good.
Yeah.
Then I was training 5 times a week.
The schedule demand comes a lot more, doesn't it?
Yeah, 5 times a week. When we have time off, they arrange friendlies, so you don't even get a break. And also the money is not that good.
No.
So I was thinking to myself, like at the time, I might go back home, or I might go to Norway.
Yeah.
In the end, I made the decision I was going to Norway, and so I got rid of all my stuff. I prepared to go, but then the Brexit situation, visa let me down, so I realised I couldn't go back onto my old residence card. Because I was living there before. And in the end, I just decided, okay, well, I can't be bothered to do this visa. It's going to take months. So just prior to that, with Sengler, I told them that I was stopping. I was leaving to go to Norway, so I was going to quit the season. It was kind of a bit of a smoke screen as well, because I didn't want to be there. And then obviously I left them. I wasn't doing anything for about 2 months. And then Msida came to me and said, "You're not doing anything. Why are you not doing anything?
Yeah.
So why don't you just come and train?" Told him no. I actually told him no. I spent Christmas back in England. Said I was done now. I didn't want to play anymore. Yeah. And then I watched the game back in England. I watched Chesterfield play.
Okay.
And I got ties to Chesterfield from younger. So I was a little bit, okay, I need to play.
You got that feeling back.
So I messaged him and I said, "Can I come training when I get back?" And he said, "Yeah, come back." And then just signed with them and started playing. But just going back to Sengler, the situation there was like, it was such a challenge every week. So the coach obviously got let go. the facilities and stuff are really good there.
Yeah.
A nice pitch.
It's Corradino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the nicer pitches in Malta.
It's really
huge
good.
facility.
Really good, yeah. All the players are fantastic as well. I loved everybody from there, and the committee, fantastic people as well. But when you're training 5 times a week, very little money, you
Yeah.
can go play division below. Train
Half the schedule.
Exactly. Train 3 times a week. Get
Similar money.
actually get more money.
More money.
Yeah, because you're a standout player.
Yeah.
So they want somebody who, you know, is the main foreigner, so they pay a bit more.
Well, like I said at the beginning, you've proven yourself in the amateur league. You've become one of those kind of go-to players now that is kind of always in demand. They know that what they're going to get from you is goals if you play in the amateur league. You've become a bit of a playoff specialist, really, haven't you? I mean, you carried Kirkop pretty much to the playoffs last season. Was it the season before?
Yeah, it was the season before. I wouldn't say carried, but
You put in a lot of standout performances along the way.
yeah, I worked pretty hard.
Yeah.
It was a joint effort. We had a very good team, and the coach is actually a really good man, a fantastic man. But yeah, I think there was a few ones that the semi-final stands out for me. I wasn't really in the game. I was playing number 10 there. I wasn't in the game. Couldn't get on the ball. So I went out wide to try and receive it, and then I got the ball. We were 1-0 down, and I played a long pass over, and Kenneth fed it in, put it 1-1, and then we went on to win 2-1. And that was in the quarters. In the semi, we played against Attard, and that was at the National Stadium, or is it Centenary?
Yeah.
And it was actually one of my best games. I was first half absolutely terrorising Attard.
That extra space on the field makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does as well.
The quality of the ground in general is just much better compared to places like Sirens, like Luxor.
When you play at Sirens or Luxor, players that are really good at football kind of get put into a box.
Yeah.
And you get thrown into a...
It's narrow, it's tight, there's no space, the ground itself is bobbly, you're not going to get passes, it's coming along the surface nicely.
No.
It's hard to show off technique on those sort of pitches.
It's very hard. You don't get any time on the ball at all, and you have to shield it. And whenever you do get a bit of space, you break past the player, they just kick you down.
Mm-hmm.
So like even if you do get past somebody, you're always going to get pulled down because they know they need to stop you. Because at the same time, because it's small. If you do get a yard of space,
you can shoot.
You can shoot, or you can make the next thing. So it gets to a point where you have to try and do that. But on the Centenary Stadium, it's actually a lot better. It's what I'm used to from playing before. But we went to Attard. I think that game we were 1-0 up, and then we got down to 10 men, and they scored, made it 1-1, and then we were in extra time, and we were all cramping like crazy. And I remember it was so hard trying to get out because with 10 men they were just passing it, and the ball came and played a long one, and I managed to get. I was running and I was cramping at the same time, but I managed to chest it down and hold it up for about a few seconds just to get us up the pitch, and then I laid it inside to Matty Borge, and Matthew played a pass inside, and then Lincoln smashed the ball into the bottom corner, and we all went crazy. We all just ran off onto the side.
So I think Attard got in trouble that season, didn't they?
There was accusations.
Accusations of match fixing, and they put a lot of money to try and get into the promotion, which obviously you guys then took that to a massive halt for them. They had to try again this year, and again pumped a lot of money into it, but came out on top this year. They had a good season this year. That striker.
They
smashed it this year, 21 goals.
But just because the match fixing accusations, they were still a very good team.
Of course. You've still got to have the talent on the pitch to win the games.
Yeah, they were still a very good team, and I have a lot of respect for all of those players because I don't think any of them was directly.
No. I think it's mainly behind the scenes stuff that would have done that. They still would have had to put the performances in the pitches. You can't take away from a team, especially this year. They went unbeaten and really just cleaned up the league. Didn't look like they had much trouble along the way.
No, the striker as well is fantastic. He scored like 20 goals.
I need to see more of him. I hear a lot of people talk very highly of him. The game I saw of him against us probably wasn't his best game, but I need to see a bit more of him.
Yeah, the thing is about him, he only needs one chance,
Yeah.
and he'll score. And against us, he had 3 chances and scored all 3.
All 3.
So he's very good. I'd be very interested to see how he does in Challenge
In
League.
Challenge League, yeah, bit of a step up. Competition, like you said, a bit similar.
Well, you become one of many in that division. There's
Yeah.
a lot of players that can score goals, and the defenders are not easy to play against.
The foreign strikers become very, very good. That's the one thing I will say is the foreigner talent, because there's 3 of them on the pitch now. It's very good for the teams that invest wisely.
Yeah, it's proper football, right?
Yeah.
If anything in Malta is close to proper football, it's Challenge League and Prem. It is good. They do play some good stuff. Some of the teams. So he'll have a challenge there. Going back to the playoffs with Kirkuk, we got to the final against Rabat, and the same striker who plays for Tarfa, who's just gone on a crazy one, mad one, this Nestor.
Yeah, Nestor.
He's done me twice now. So I played against him when he was at Rabat. We were 1-1 until extra time, and in the last minute of extra time, he scored the same goal. He gets this, so like he pulls off the fullback.
Yeah.
They play the long ball over, and he comes around the side. The fullback never picks him up. He runs in through, score. He did the same thing with Antalfa against us this.
He's just a bit of a tank, that player. He's not that tall, is he? But he's strong on the ball, I find. I think when he played against our team, our defenders just couldn't handle him. They're trying to body him off the ball, and his low centre of gravity just keeps him very, very rooted to the ground, pushing through, and he's clinical when he gets in front of goal.
When he's on it, he's very good.
I think he got a hat-trick against us in the final.
Yeah,
Blew us completely out of park. Defenders had no idea how to handle it, and it was a bit of a disaster from our end.
A great player. Another one though that's he had the chance to play in Challenge League last season, and because he got promoted to Rabat, and then he left it to go to Antalfa to play in Amateur League again. So it'd be interesting to see if he stays in Challenge League or if he comes back down to Amateur League.
Yeah.
Maybe he's found his level at Amateur League, or maybe.
I think Rabat actually released him, because I remember Melvin saying he got brought in because they got rid of him because they didn't want him, thought he wasn't good enough for Challenge League.
Wow.
Because Mel's obviously at Rabat at the moment.
It's a big statement.
Yeah, it's weird for someone to get you to the Challenge League and then kind of move him on and then try and bring other people in.
I actually thought he was a very good player.
Yeah, he's not bad. I think he's played in the Challenge League before, maybe a season or 2 ago, something like that. But players like that, you feel like they should be given the opportunity at least. If you take a team up, you should at least get the opportunity to try it and see how you get on. So Dan, you had a bit of an unorthodox journey to becoming a footballer abroad. Most people, obviously, they have it in their minds that they want to play football, they give up everything and start travelling abroad doing trials and trying to make it as a footballer. You, on the other hand, you got the opportunity to move to Norway through work, right?
Yeah, so obviously football started in England, and I was playing semi-professional in England for quite some time for a number of teams, and then I'm a recruitment consultant, so I basically recruit IT developers. That's my main source of income, and unfortunately not unfortunately, but like for me, it makes a lot more money than what a football player makes.
Yes.
Not all, but in most cases, if you're lower league, I'm probably going to make more money than you, and that's not to brag, but it's just how it is. So even if I did make it pro, it would kind of be a step back in salary anyway.
Exactly.
And also probably not good enough to be the level of pro I want to be. But yeah, I basically got offered a job in Oslo, and I moved there. I more or less was doing the job, and then I had a friend of a friend who said, "We've got this club," and it was Nordstrand.
Okay.
And the manager there is Thomas Holm.
Yeah.
And basically, me and him just hit it off really well. They all liked me because this crazy English guy, I was a bit younger, I was an idiot, a bit stupid, in comparison to Norwegians that are like very serious people. So they had this like crazy guy come training. And I loved it there. The facilities were fantastic, everything was good, the manager was like so straight with me. So we started playing there, and that was in the 4th division of Norway.
Okay.
So Nordstrand played there. I did some nice things with them. So we won the league, we got promoted to Division 3. So I got a league title with my name in Norway as well. And now they've become they've just had a lot of new facilities built there. Like They're now one of these feeder teams.
Okay.
So what they do is they take on a lot of young talent from Norway and they sell them on to the bigger clubs.
Premier League teams.
So yeah, I was part of the journey. They always wanted to be step 3 in Norway, and they basically got there, and I was part of the journey and managed to win the league with them. So it was a fantastic thing.
What position were you playing when you first?
So as you know, I can play left back, centre mid, DM. Whenever I played in England, I was either a flying wing back or a defensive midfielder. I was playing left back for them, but we played in such a shape in a way that I barely did any defending.
Okay.
So
more of like a Danny Alves type role.
Yeah, similar to that, I would say. We just kept the ball so well. Like our midfield players were fantastic on the ball, and the centre backs know how to play, and the pitches there are like grass, so it's artificial. So it's like a carpet.
Okay.
You have to be a bad player if you can't play on there. You don't have to think about your first touch.
Yeah.
You can always play with your head up constantly. So we keep the ball very well, and I was just constantly darting in behind the defender all the time. We would pin teams in, and then the wing backs would slowly make their way up the pitch, and the centre midfielders would just find us all the time. So we'd always do that, or the ball would come to me on the byline, I'd cross and get an assist. So a lot of scoring. I scored a hat-trick from left back then.
I was going to say that kind of suits your transition over to Malta then when you started playing up front, because I mean you've got all that experience of bombing forward anyway from left back.
Yeah, but I think growing up as a kid, I actually started all my stuff as a child as a striker.
Okay.
So I played striker for a long period of time growing up, with like Chesterfield Boys and all of this. And then as soon as I came up into sort of like 16 years old, they said, right, we need in fact, we had a left back who was out at the time.
Okay.
And they said, who's got a decent left foot, can you do a job?
Yeah.
And I just slotted in there and I stuck there, I stayed there.
It's always funny when you just get asked to do a shift somewhere and you just play out of your socks and that's it, that position's yours now, and then it's like, oh, guess I'm not playing up front anymore.
It just became that transition. It was just, I always liked having the ball, and from left back, if you play properly, unfortunately, I'm sorry Malta, but we don't use our left back and right back properly here. But like you would receive the ball and you're the pinnacle, the start of the attack.
Exactly.
So you constantly receive the ball, you look up, you play your striker, you play your winger, and it suited me down to the ground because I always had the ball and I always had everything in front of me.
I've seen some clips of you, we'll put them on the screen behind us, but that left foot, it's magic at times. You see like 40-yard switches of the play, you get the ball, head straight up, bang, ball's on the opposite side of the pitch to the winger. It's a nice left foot. It's one of those underrated skills that you see a lot of left-footed players have. It's just, they're so dominant on that left foot, it becomes magic.
I don't use the right foot. I don't use the right foot so often, no. In fact, I've actually become a little bit more happier using the right foot since I've been in Malta, because as a striker you need to go up.
Exactly, yeah.
But you're right, I was always using the left foot, and the left foot comes from actually when I was a kid, I used to go on this car park after school, and I used to bang the ball against the wall. And I remember I had this old man, his name was Norman, and it used to be his house. So he'd come out and he'd be like, "You playing football again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just doing this." And I think basically for so long he was trying to tell me to stop banging the ball against my house. But he was so nice, he would just come out and go, "Are you kicking the ball against the wall?" And he would just start going, "It's good, that good shot." And I'd just be thinking to myself, as a kid,
I'd been tormenting this poor old man.
I think back now, I was actually tormenting Norman. But when I was really young, I didn't even realise.
Well, you're innocent, aren't you? You don't understand what's going on.
He never told me off. So I just constantly used to bang the ball against the wall. And then another one that was really good is on the park with the swings. We play heads and volleys.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and this was I never used to like hitting the ball, so I'd always try and ping volleys all the time.
Yeah.
So I think little things like that make. I wouldn't say I've spent any time trying to better the left foot, or it just kind of came
naturally through kind of how you grew up and played,
smashing the ball. Yeah. So
that does help a lot in Malta, is having that powerful shot. I think it's one of those attributes that coaches look for straight away from strikers, is how hard can they hit the ball.
Yeah, No, I can hit it pretty hard.
Exactly.
What else to say about that? Yeah, I can smack a ball. Sometimes you hit it too well, don't you? There was one against you guys. You weren't there.
I wasn't there yet. No, I'm really disappointed I missed that game. I would have loved to have just surprised you and turned up on the pitch.
It would have been good. Yeah, it would have been good. But we just played it. I just got back from COVID, so I didn't actually start the game. I came on as a substitute. I told the coach, I said, like, go with the African kid because the Centurion is big. I said, use his pace.
Yeah.
Might do us an advantage. And I said, I'm not ready yet. I'm not fit, and I've just got back from COVID. So we ended up being like 1-1 or 0-0 for so long. Can't remember what the score was in the end. But I came in and I had 3 or 4 shots, and there was one I let the ball run and I left the defender, and I smashed it. And I'm thinking, right, if I don't hit this well, it goes in, because the keeper committed one side, but he committed so far to the side. I smashed it. He saved it. But if I don't know, if I didn't hit it properly, it'd have been a goal. We'd have won that game. But no, I hit it too well, and the keeper saved it. So sometimes it gets me in trouble.
So going back to Norway, your first experience, you had Michael Holm as the coach. Thomas Holm. How was it playing under him? Obviously, he's actually quite a decorated player in Norway. 2 Norwegian titles, 4 caps for Norway, Champions League appearances, UEFA Cup appearances. What was he like as a manager?
To be honest, yeah, Thomas is probably the best manager I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not just a manager, but he's a lad as well.
Okay.
So he just understands, right? So he's one of them. You'd think somebody who's played Champions League was 17 years old. Okay. He played Champions League 17-year-old for Herenveen in the Dutch league, because he had a stint in the
Eredivisie.
Yeah, that one. So you would think like he would come with a big time attitude, and he was actually so nice. So as a player, he understands, and so as a manager, he obviously understands as well. So he would just come and say, all right, you're out today, you're on the bench, or we need to try a different tactic, and footballers respect that.
I've always said I'd much rather a coach that just tells me to my face what the deal is. Because I can take that and I'll handle that however I need to, but I'll be there the next week training hard and so on. But if the coach starts to be a bit sneaky and try and tell you what he thinks you want to hear, you see through it and it gets frustrating, and ultimately it kind of kills your happiness at the team, because you just feel like you've been lied to and told different things, which is something that I've kind of had a lot through my career. I much prefer coaches that will just tell me, hey Dan, it's not happening today, I'm not playing you, I want to try something else.
No, you're a bit of a tough time. You're right, we invest a lot of time, right? So when we're training 3 or 4, even 5 times a week, we ask to be spoken to properly.
We're adults at the end of the day. Just talk to us like adults, and there's not really a problem.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think the good thing about Thomas is he used to come out with us as a team for having drinks. He made me feel very welcome, even in the training sessions. Norway is a Norwegian speaking country, of course, and they don't speak a lot of English. They can, but they don't need to. But he would change the sessions to English just because he's got me as a foreigner. I was the only English speaker there. So all the others they either come from different countries and picked up the language. Yeah. Because I'd been there so fresh, he actually changed the whole sessions to English, so that
it's a nice touch.
Yeah, just so I could understand.
It helps you settle in a lot faster.
It was amazing. Yeah, I thought that was an amazing gesture. Every now and again, I obviously switch back to Norwegian, but I was learning Norwegian all the time, so I started to pick it up. But yeah, for somebody to do that, I made the whole session English speaking just because I'm there is pretty big. So he did that, and you could tell that obviously he's come from a professional background, and with a team played for Vålerenga, and he played for Herenveen, so these are huge clubs. Yeah. So that was a good thing, but even if we were going out for dinners, drinks, he'd buy everybody. He's a millionaire, right? So he would buy us all drinks, he would go over to his house for barbecues. Just a really nice, down-to-earth bloke. I even had a conversation with him when I was on about going back to Norway. And he was pretty straight with me. He said, look Danny, I was thinking about going back, and I said, can I go back there? And he said, the club's moved on since you were here, we would like to have you back, but you're not really the profile we look for anymore. We've won.
Club's gone up a level.
It wasn't that, I could still play there, but it was more he wants younger people.
You were saying they've developed a bit of a philosophy now for feeding younger talent into...
That's exactly how it is. He's like got younger kids that are doing well in that Division 3, which is the post-Nord League. So they're doing very well there, and to bring a 30-year-old into that mix
kind of disrupts the mission.
It's a little bit like, if he's got a promising player that plays my position, and even if I'm better than him, he needs to showcase that kid.
Exactly.
The club wants to sell him. So he was straight up.
It's a business, isn't it?
Exactly. Very straight up with me, and I like that life. So great coach. Yeah.
And you played for one other team in Norway, right? It was...
I played for Frigoslo FK.
Yeah.
So this is the club that the King of Norway supports.
Okay.
So this is his club in that respect. I didn't really have a very good time there, to be honest. That was a step higher. So this is like good standard in Norway, and I spent a lot of my time on the bench there. The reason being, he had a very, very particular style of play, and it took me 3 months to understand what he wanted. So I was very patient with him, and I was used to getting the ball in England and playing diags and doing whatever I want with the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't want the ball off the floor, he didn't want the ball off the floor at all.
Okay.
It makes no sense to him to play with the ball off the floor. So he's very strict with his philosophy, and he wanted it to be that we recycle the ball with the midfielders and we pen them in to their 18. And I was sometimes taking too long and I'd pass back to the centre back and it would ruin the whole move again.
Okay.
So I think he was a little bit like, you need to figure out where you want to be. But then it became robotic and I got more games.
Yeah.
So of course I got in, I knew what he wanted me to do, and then I started making some assists there, started scoring a few goals, getting on the ball. But I didn't play as much as I would like to. I'm used to being at clubs where I start and play every game, and I didn't play as much as I wanted there. So I went back to Nordstrand, and I finished another season with them, and that season we won the league. So
Okay.
it was, I went back and got a winners medal, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a nice change up.
Uh-huh.
How do you find when you get introduced to these more kind of robotic systems? Do you feel like your enjoyment of the game starts to go down if you're not being allowed to kind of have the freedom to do what you want on the pitch? Or do you find enjoyment in playing kind of systematic football and knowing that you're a moving cog in a bigger wheel?
Well, that's the way modern football is now. Every football player is a cog. The problem in Malta is every football player doesn't want to be a cog.
No.
Everybody wants to do their own thing on the ball, which doesn't work for the team, and that's why we don't have a consistent team with the style of play.
Exactly.
If you look at the Challenge or Prem, maybe a few. There's a few interesting coaches in the Prem. I've seen like the coach from Goodyear. He's doing some cool stuff.
They've made big leaps of improvement
his
this year.
name's Thane or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, so I saw him and he seems to have a style of play. But there's not a lot of clubs that seem to have that. So to answer your question, I would prefer to be a cog in a bigger wheel that's successful. And the other thing as well, when you're a cog, you know exactly what your job is.
Yeah.
So when the ball comes to you, you know the pass you have to make. And if you're not making those passes, either the team needs to change strategy or you're not doing your job well.
Exactly.
So
It's very easy to gauge if you're playing well or not, and if you deserve to be on the pitch or not, because ultimately if your job is to get the ball and recycle it and you're not recycling the ball, then of course you're not going to play if someone else can come in and recycle the ball better than you.
Exactly, and I think like just with that, when you take the ball and you recycle it and have I think what I'm trying to get at here is like you need to have the philosophy, and it doesn't come in more to that we need to have the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like teams actually feel comfortable with
They don't value possession here.
No.
They value direct forward play. It's almost like non-league football in England, but not at the same level of pace or technique.
No, it's very frustrating sometimes. I remember the first time I came here when I was playing with Melita. I remember the coach had gone through the drills all week about like how we were going to play. And then we got into the game and it was nothing like that.
Nothing.
It was just basically, I remember I was stood in the middle and he was like, come on Danny, and I was like, yeah, but we're not doing the styles of play that so in the end I kind of just thought, I don't run around like the rest of them, I'm not going to look like I want to play. So I just thought, okay, fuck it, let's just run around and
I think that's a trap I fall into, is I'm used to playing very tactical football, and I'm not the sort of player that's just going to go running around like a headless chicken. I like to preserve my energy, wait for calculated runs in behind, and I think a lot of the time I get looked at and considered lazy because I'm not just running around like a headless chicken with 4 other players chasing the same ball.
You're right, and I think that's the way it is in Malta though. Like you have to
adapt.
Yeah, you kind of just have to work hard. I don't really think that the teams do adopt a real style of play. I think everyone just, on the day, it's who's willing to work harder and battle harder than the other, and then who gets the balls.
There was one coach I worked with closely, Kevin Vella from Fgora, and I will say he really put a lot of time and effort into developing a philosophy at Fgora, and they're reaping the benefits from it. They've gone from being bottom of the league when I was there, when I first joined them, and together pretty much the team just up and up and up. They just finished 5th place this year in the Challenge League, and this is a team that were newly promoted into the league. They managed to stay, and then they finished consistently higher each year. They're again similar to the team that you were talking about in Norway. They use the wing backs a lot. They like to keep possession and move forward as a unit, using the strikers to pull players out to then bring other people in. It's nice to actually, it's refreshing, should I say, to see it in Malta, a coach that's actually committed to a game plan and sticks to it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think there's another club we talk about, though, Melita, my first club. If you think about them, they've gone from, I was there and I remember the old manager Luffy got, he either left or they let him go. And then Xavier came in, and I wasn't really having Xavier. I didn't really trust him.
Buy into what he was saying.
Yeah, because he'd come from like the youth academy and stuff, and I thought, okay, well, I don't know if this guy is going to know what he's
ready for that step up.
And then he actually led them into the Challenge League, got them promoted. I think they won every single game, they didn't lose a game. And they're in the Challenge League now, and they've done really well. So it's nice to see these different transitions.
Yeah, you're seeing a few coaches being given opportunities. It's the one thing I will say about Malta is because of that kind of, there's not really a massive pool of talent for coaches in Malta to choose from. You do see a lot of new, fresh coaches come through with exciting ideas that want to try and implement them. So it just comes down to whether they can actually get the team to buy into their ideas, or whether they end up kind of throwing the playbook out the window after a few games and reverting back to what Maltese football typically is, which is just kick the ball and everyone run after it.
It's usually you get a really fast African kick.
Exactly,
kick it up to him.
I hope he can run past 6 players and score the goal for you.
Yeah.
Or just wait for the other team to make a mistake. You kick the ball 80 times at their centre back and hope he misses the ball one time and your player runs through and scores, and that's the game winner.
I think Msida actually have a record now. I think we drew the most amount of games this season.
Really?
Yeah, I think we won about 4 or 5 and drew all the rest and lost the other. So I think it's like 7 drawn games in one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of draws. So that just shows that it's like who battles the most.
Exactly.
And if you there's no one unlocking each other.
No.
It's more of like, okay, we battle it out, and if we score, we score.
Yeah.
If you score, you usually get back 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But if you don't score,
it's a stalemate.
yeah, and nothing ever happens. And sometimes you don't look like scoring.
No.
So
I've seen a lot of games this season from my team where and it's strange because they had such a strong start. I came into the club just as the transfer window was shutting, and from the first round they were unbeaten. They were top of the league by 7 points.
That's right.
And they looked like they were cruising, and then just before I'd got there they started to take a bit of a plummet in form, and it just never recovered. And I'd be sat there at games from the bench just watching, and we didn't look like we were ever going to score. We had no real shots on target. The goalkeeper from the other team must have just been bored because he's literally not touched the ball. All he's doing is picking the ball up for goal kicks and kicking the ball away.
Yeah.
And you just sit there sometimes and you just wonder, it's like, at some point, when is the team really going to actually try to play to actually get shots away? Instead of the random kind of football that gets brought in.
We'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's going to change a bit soon. There's some exciting young players coming through. I've seen quite a few. And I think they are trying to change the philosophy. If you look at the national team, they brought in the Italian coaches. I think it's Mangio or something, and they've brought in a huge system in place that goes all the way down the youth level. So I think that's why you're seeing a few
youth players come through now that actually look like they're comfortable on the ball and want to play. And it's because at the national level they've got everyone playing the same formation as the first team. They're all playing a very systematic style of play, which is 3 at the back, playing out of the back, being confident enough to try and break teams down and escape presses and then play through with an overload.
There's a few clubs that I really like that have got good philosophies. It's so San Juan, for example.
Yeah.
They've got a young team and they bombed their Division 2, smashed it. And they even beat Marseille, who was throwing a lot of money that season. And they were really good. I liked San Juan when they came through. But also there's Melita. If you look at this boy there, De Bautista, he's another one that I can see being a really big player. Played for him in his first season. I remember him coming through. Now he's scoring free kicks, he's scoring like great shots at the edge of the box, he's doing good stuff. So there's a lot of like cool teams. Which one's another one that typically adopts this stuff? I think mainly the ones I think of. Oh, Pieta, yes. Yeah. These
are all teams, by the way, that have kind of highly regarded youth programs, and I think they're really starting to reap the benefits of it now. Yeah. Having talented young players that not only they can sell on for profit, but they can put into the first team and have them play for the season or two that they're there, to put them in the shop window, and they smash it, and then obviously move on to Premier League clubs for a profit. Mm-hmm. So the clubs are really kind of getting that benefit of actually investing in the youth, and that's something that Malta's typically avoided in the past, is really putting money into the youth football from the bottom up. And you've got to take players from a very young age and obviously coach these things into them for them to then be at that level later on. Yeah. So Dan, after Norway, you found yourself in Malta for the first time. How did that come about? Was it again for work? You moved for work, or did you just fancy a change from Norway and picked a country kind of at random?
It's random, yeah. So my ex-girlfriend, I'll give her a bit of mention, Norwegian girl, she's never lived outside of Norway, and she wanted to see what it was like to live in a really hot country, nice, decent economy and stuff. We were looking around, and there was a few offers and opportunities in Spain, but I didn't see the salaries in that as competitive. Yeah. And there was a few other places around. There was opportunity in Netherlands, an opportunity in Sweden, and these were recruitment jobs. And in the end, we saw an opportunity in Malta. So I took the job here in Malta. We just looked at the economy. It's good at the moment. Also, the weather, you should get 300 days of sunshine. Yeah. So we saw it, and I've been on a few business trips here as well, and I was pretty impressed, but I saw it from a holiday point of view. Yeah. So I saw I got the best of it, and I'm actually pretty settled now in Malta, but I got the best of it, so I was like, you know what, let's go here. Yeah. So we came, and now I was doing my job, and I was just getting a bit bored. I started playing some seven-a-side with some boys, and then I was getting the knack and taste for football again. And then...
Before you carry on, how old were you at this point?
So I'm 30 now. I've been in Malta about 3 years. So about 27.
About 27 years old. Okay.
27. So I was basically playing some sevens, and then somebody saw me at sevens, and then they said, you should come and have a game over at Melita. I think his name's Caden Califa or something. He used to play for Melita. Basically, he said, why don't you go down Melita? I was just looking for a Sunday League club, trying to find a team, just something out, casual. And he said, yeah, they're only in Division 2, so go down and have a chat. So I went down and had a look, and I brought my own football. I brought my own football to the session, and I wasn't wearing anywhere near their kit or clothes. I'd just been invited over on Facebook. So I went in and brought the football, and Luffy was just this Albanian bloke that's very doctrine in his ways of working. Yeah. And he's like, what do you brought your football for? And I was just brought a football, I thought I'd just have a game. And I hate it when we've not got a good football. So I brought mine because I know it's good. And he was pointing over at all the bags of balls and stuff. And he's I've got loads of footballs. And I was like, alright, well, anyway, we can add mine to the mix now. So we started training, and we did this game at the end. And I'm just
did you use your football?
No.
No.
It was in the session, but it got like booted over to the side.
He's probably told someone to do that as well. Someone get rid of that ball.
It was a good one. It was one of the old World Cup ones, for Russia.
Yeah,
it was a good one. So it booted it off to the side, and then I just got the ball and took it past players, smashed it in, and then I was just running around and just enjoying it, thinking this is all right, roughing up defenders and stuff. And then Luffy after was like, do you want to sign? And I was like, but no, he said, do you want to do pre-season? I said, what do you mean pre-season? I said, I just thought we'd play footy.
yeah.
And he goes, let somebody tell him like what the situation is. So I remember the captain was like, we train 4 times a week. It's in the division, and we're going to do proper pre-season. And I was like, okay. And he was like telling me the history of the club. He's like, we used to be a Premier League team. We're the only amateur team that made it Premier League. I was like, I thought we just played Sunday League here. So, I obviously got the itch dinner, and I just started training. And then they signed a foreigner. I was training thinking, oh, this is it, I'm going to get a game here. And they signed my friend Noel.
Yeah.
And there was also Franklin that came along as well. And Noel was obviously the main guy there. They brought him from the UK to come and play there. And me and him just like hit it off really well. So I was thinking, I don't think they're going to sign me now because they've just got a foreigner. So we did the whole pre-season. And I started banging in goals. I started scoring goals. I scored we played against some goals team. Balls dropped out, smashed one for 20 yards, it's gone flying one corner. And then I kept coming off the bench and scoring goals. I think Noel was just like trying to acclimatise to it. He's a very good player. Just trying to acclimatise. And I was just coming off half an hour and kept scoring. And I think what it was is like Noel tired him out. And then the last half an hour, I come on and pinch the
Good old
goal.
Sunday league Dan.
I like come on and pinch a goal here and there. So it got to a point where like we got to end the pre-season, and we played the first league game of the season. And they said, well, we're going to sign you. So they signed me. And then we got to the first league game of the season, and I got benched again. And I only came on for the last 10 minutes. And we drew 0-0. So I went over to Luffy and I was just like, listen, I've scored all goals in pre-season. So this is going from me being Sunday League player who wasn't that interested to heavily invested at this point.
Why are you still bringing a football to training?
No, he told me off. Luffy told me to like F off so many times in training. Like we were doing something, and I go, "What are we doing this for? It's crap." And he would just go like, because I was outspoken, I didn't understand the culture and that. And you have to be quite,
quiet,
respectful, and quiet. But I remember like, why are we doing this? This is crap. And then he was like, what do you mean it's crap? And I'd be like, chill out, I'm only joking. Like, I'm just joking. We used to get so angry. It was like a love-hate thing between me and Luffy. And then I went over to him, and I knew that the thing I love about him, he's Albanian, but he's been in Malta for so long that he speaks the language. He's got kids, half Maltese.
Really, Fabian's a friend of mine.
Exactly. So I can be straight with him. And he's straight with me.
Yeah.
And there's no like in between, there's no hard feelings. It's always swept under the rug. It's like a bit of a father figure really to me. I like him. He kind of brought me into the game here. And I went over and I was like, listen, I've scored all goals in pre-season. Let me start next game. And he said, well, you can't come over and demand that. And I was like, well, come on, let me.
Just did.
Yeah. So in the end, he said, I think he thought, you know what, we're meant to play against Rabat. Yeah, and everybody's saying this is going to be a tough game. And I think he threw me in because he thought I was going to fail.
Yeah.
And then he would have been like, okay, now I can control it. Yeah. And I scored 2. My first goal I ever scored in Malta was against Rabat. I remember Santi played the ball through. I ran in, just nipped it past the keeper and scored. And then the second one was probably one of my favourite goals I've ever scored in Malta. The ball's dropped and I bulldozed through 2 defenders, ran through, banged it ball into the mid left hand or something like that. So went off from a flyer from Sunday League to play really well in Melita. And it was a really good season which unfortunately got cut by COVID.
Yeah.
But me and Noel got a really fantastic friendship.
He went back to Melita this year, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been the main foreigner there for the last 2 seasons. But yeah, we got on really well, which everybody thought we were going to dislike each other because we competed directly. But No, we got on really well.
It's not really like that for English people, is it? When you're playing, even abroad, it's just you kind of bind together anyway because you both speak English quite easily and you know what your banter's like. You can give it to each other and know that they're not going to take it too personally.
Well, we were going out and having barbecues together.
Yeah.
We were having parties. We were talking to girls together. Like we were having, the time.
I find it's sometimes a bit difficult to have that same sort of banter with the local players here. It's a different culture.
It depends. The boys from Melita, I mean, they're like Pepe, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called. So like they understand British culture quite well. So I'm gonna say like I should never have left Melita. Like, it was the best club for me because of the vibe I got from the players and the boys. Like I said, they used to come around my apartment, we had barbecues,
Well, I remember doing carnival with you lot, and again, it was my first time meeting them, and it was as if I'd been with them for ages. Again, just straight away you click, really nice bunch of guys and
top lads.
Yeah, nice group of people. I'm playing with a couple of them from that were at Melita with you, I think, Russo.
Yeah. Again, a lovely boy.
Yeah.
He once come for an interview for my recruitment company, and it was funny. Can't say too much, it's confidentiality, but like he came and he had an interview. It was one of the best interviews I ever had. As a recruitment manager, potentially hiring somebody, it's the most fantastic interview. You need to ask him about it.
He's a funny guy, I'll make sure I ask him.
It was amazing. I still remember that interview.
So, how long were you at Melita for?
So we did that. We did that half season, didn't we?
Yeah. Then COVID came in.
Yeah.
Interrupted.
How much did I get? About 2 goals against Rabat. I scored a free kick against Calcara. Scored a header against Shire. I think I ended up finishing that season with about 6 or 7 goals.
Okay.
With those ones, but we only played half the season, so it's actually like I come in. I was the fittest I've ever been because I was only 27.
Yeah.
I just come from Norway, so I was fit, and I'd not quite got accustomed to eating all the pasticci's and all the rest of it when I was here. So I ended up finishing that season after the COVID situation, and then I was meant to go back for pre-season after, and we went back, and I got there and I was just a little bit like desperate. I was like, I want to play Challenge League so bad because I didn't really feel like I wanted to carry on playing in this Division 2. So I wanted to play Division 1 back then. And we just got back and I looked at the squad and we'd not done anything. Luffy had been let go and we'd not like brought any players in. They kept on bringing like old players. Yeah. Like the old guard from the Premier League. I was thinking these players are not.
They're past it now.
Yeah, but they weren't.
No.
No, so I was thinking these guys, why are we bringing like old players? But why are they going out and signing? And Luffy had just gone to Luton, and they gave him some money to sign players. Yeah. Luton came rock bottom the season before, and he'd said, "Look, I'm going to change the club. Do you want to come with me?" And that's a love-hate between me and Luffy. Yeah. And I was like, I'm tempted, and I just wanted to be loved, and basically at Melita, I don't going to go into everything, but I wasn't getting paid for the first year. Yeah. They weren't paying me, and then I thought that was just normal because obviously I couldn't play in the league, and then I found out I was like one of the only foreigners on the island who wasn't getting paid. Yeah. So I was like, why am I not getting paid? So I'd gone and I'd had to ask them to pay me. I had to go and ask them to pay me. So I just felt a bit like sad that I had to go and ask to be paid. Especially the season you had. You think that would at least justify even just like a little, hey, you've had a good season. Yeah. Everyone else is being paid over here. Do you fancy being paid? We'll give you a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be too much, but just that little gesture of like good faith. Just a little bit. And Luffy was like, what do you want? And enough to sort my rent out and that. So he said, you're going to come, and I went back to Leeds and I said, look, you don't have to pay me as much as that. I just want you to appreciate me and offer me something. And they're like, what do you want? And I was like, I don't want you to ask me what you want. I want you to say, like, we're going to offer you this. And this is how much we value you. Yeah, like, we want to offer you this and it's going to be. And it took like 2 weeks to get a meeting. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what? And I kept speaking to the manager, and he's like, you are a foreigner. We want you to be a foreigner. In the end, I just said, like, look, I'm gonna loot her. So I ended up signing with them, and then I ended up like agreeing, and then I went back and said, no, I'm going to loot her. So I went there, started playing with her. So we started that season. That season. So
Well, before you get into that, we'll pause for a little 2-minute break. Stretch our legs.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we're back. We were talking about Lua. Danny had just moved to Lua St Andrews to follow his former coach from Melita to continue their love-hate relationship. How did the season go down?
Well, it goes like every season, doesn't it? I left halfway through. So I'd gone from this really nice English-speaking club where we were going out, eating, drinking, and I'd just gone to this club which was fantastic, as in committee, the coach, but it was just hard. Like, I didn't really bond well. None of the players spoke much English with me. It was a bit like...
That's an issue I have a lot. I just tend to feel a bit isolated from the rest of the dressing room.
Yeah, you do. You feel a bit like that, but also I think at that time I was going through a bit of a traumatic stage in my personal life as well. There were some things that happened behind the scenes that were a bit
stressful.
Yeah, and it just accumulated. And then I seemed like I was doing everything well on the pitch. Like I was playing so well in some games, just couldn't score.
No.
The keepers kept saving everything. I hit the post so many times. Like I just couldn't seem to get those goals. And in the end, I think I only scored about 4 goals or something like that. Which
it's not the same level of output you're used to.
No, and I don't know. I just got to halfway through, and I remember the director or the chairman or whatever they call it, president. He just rang me one day. He said, "You're not happy, are you?" And I just said, no, not really. And he said, we can all tell. And he said, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay, or do you want me to give you the release and let you go? And I just said, I think you may as well just let me go, because I'm not enjoying it. And it's not the same as it was when I was at Melita.
Yeah.
And then they went on and won the league. So I would have...
what a great decision from their president.
Yeah, thinking, get rid of Dan, cut his ties, and then they got this little foreigner in, Lucky, and he started banging balls in. So, yeah,
you were the difference maker.
No.
When you left.
Yeah, definitely when I left. No, they went on and won it, but same situation again. I worked so hard in pre-season, and it was like during that COVID period as well. We were having lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah,
and I'd like.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Over here it was rough as well, because there's not really a lot to do anyway. And then when everything started to go into lockdown, it just became very, very mundane.
So I got myself to a stage where I got myself really fit. The fittest I've been in ages. And I felt like I worked so hard, but also at the same time, I think I burnt myself out.
Yeah.
So like halfway through the season, I had a break. I only had a month, and then it was less than a month, it was 3 weeks. And then Kirkhoff messaged me and called me up. Do you want to come? And I was like,
can I bring a ball?
Can I bring the ball? Yeah. So there was an interesting one there. Because I actually, in that time, St Venera spoke to me as well.
Okay.
And I was not interested in St Venera one bit. But then they said to me about some money, and I asked for some money. Like, I purposely asked for a lot of money because I thought they would say no, and then they leave me alone. But I said, yeah, we'll give it you. So I was like, and they were like rock bottom, and I was like, oh no. So I went to a training session. And I came back, and my girlfriend at the time, I was like, she's like, you're not happy with football, so why are you bothering? And I was like, they just said they were paying me quite a bit, so even if she said, damn, they're rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I could go and I could just earn the money, and that would be fine. For like 2 months' work, I'll have made X amount of money. And they were like, she was like, okay, it was your decision. So in the end, Kirkhoff then messaged me. And Kirkcop were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're in the playoff zones, or they needed to secure 2 or 3 more games to get to the playoff. So I looked at that, and they offered me just a little bit less than this club, and in the end I went with Kirkcop. But I promised St Brenner I was going to sign, so that I ended up having one of their members of staff sending me several swear words and messages on WhatsApp, and even a voice recording. It was calling me all these things because I gave my word and then I left. Well, I didn't even sign. I didn't go.
Yeah.
The thing is, I didn't even tell him. I tried to avoid it. I said, "Oh, I'm not going to play football anymore." And then he looked in the system, and Kirkcop had registered me. So he said, "You just registered with Kirkcop. We've seen it. I thought you said you weren't going to play football anymore."
Yeah, I decided I wasn't going to play football, but then I thought about it, and I was like, I'm ready to play football again.
I just ignored him. And then he messaged me again and said, "It's really not acceptable, blah, blah, blah."
I love the gentleman's agreement over here, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like the word is their bond, and then they're the first ones to always go back on it.
It should have been a bit like, I should have handled it better, but in the end I just said, like, look, when you look at it,
football, isn't it? It kind of happens.
That's what I said. I said, look at it from my point of view. I'm sorry that I gave you my word, but you're bottom of the league and they're in the playoffs. So where am I going to go?
Bit of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah. So I went to Kirkcop, and we had a fantastic season. So I got there, and the group was really good. The intensity in training was good, and yeah, I'd been doing like a month and a half in the gym, just doing my own stuff, and it was really good for me because I'd had that break that I'd had from the burnout, and I still had the fitness from pre-season and stuff, but I'd had a bit of a break, and then I came back. So when I
got refreshed,
I felt amazing. I came back, first game for them. I was like worried that I was not going to score anything, so I scored much. I scored straight away against Calcara.
Yeah.
We beat them, and I got 3 assists in that game as well.
Okay.
So straight in, and then I scored a free kick against Shira, and then the several assists I got from like the playoffs and so on. So yeah, it was a really nice season. When did it get
okay, so the playoff season you had was actually you joined halfway.
Yeah, halfway through.
Okay. I thought you were there from the beginning for some reason.
No, we had the first few games to try and secure playoffs, so we did well, and I managed to score a few goals and we secured the playoffs.
Okay.
And then when we got to the playoffs, I put in a few performances in and we got to the final, so it was nice.
You pretty much ended up doing a similar thing for Msida this season. Joined them, helped them get into the playoffs to begin with.
Yeah, so they were in that playoff place, and we needed to secure the last games of the season to make sure that we ended up in there. I wouldn't say that I was. Well, I scored a lot of goals there actually.
Yeah.
So
you scored 6 in 7 games.
Yeah, I guess I had a.
Had you spent the full season there, you probably would have been second top goal scorer at least.
We'd like to think so, but they're a really good team actually. Msida. The problem is with these boys, they're like level wise fantastic. They are good players. They belong in that division and they could even get better, but they're just, for me, a little bit lazy.
Okay.
And I think when it comes to like the training and so on, I think it is a bit more like, we've been at work, we don't feel like doing a bit more.
It is tough to factor that in, as you see that obviously the lifestyle over here, you're not living as a full-time professional footballer.
It's true, and that's why I couldn't argue with them, because
you don't know what jobs most of them are doing. Some of them might be doing manual labour, stuff like that, and then to have to come every single day to football almost, and then it takes its toll on you.
It does. But I think that if there was only one negativity, it would be that we would be a bit more active in training.
Yeah.
We didn't really
train as you want to play.
Yeah, we don't tackle in training. We're a bit soft in training, and I think when we got to the playoffs, we got found out.
Creates bad habits.
And Tarfa are aggressive. They're aggressive.
They bullied us.
They ran. They tackled. They scored goals.
Yeah.
And that's what we were missing. Like, I was so angry in that last playoff because I was running around and I was causing some damage to the centre backs. Like, I kept on giving the balls, having shots, setting up chances, and it felt like I was the only one who wanted to run.
Yeah.
And there was one moment I flicked on a header, and then I went and sprinted after the header and caught up with the ball. And I looked around at my team and I'm like, come on man, I've just headed that flicked it. One of you
could be a bit more up and down. Like, come on.
So I just felt like in that playoff, we had a chance and we didn't do well because we pulled it back to 1-1. And I thought, okay, maybe we could do it now. And they scored their last two in the last minutes of the game. So, but I mean, that aside, it was a nice season, great group of lads, and we do have potential. I think next season we could do some great things, but I just feel like the attitude needs to change a little.
Yeah.
If you want to win something, I know it's hard. I know.
Got to play like champions if you want to be champions. You got to train like champions if you want to be the champions.
Exactly. I mean, we are classed as semi-pro or amateur or whatever it is, but I think if you want to win something, you have to have a different mindset.
A professional approach to the game. You have to take it as if it's serious.
You need to kick each other in training a little bit. I'm not saying injure each other, but you need to like
get them used to being roughed around a little bit. So when it happens in a game, you don't feel suddenly that you're a fish out of water and it's like, oh my god, I've never been kicked like that before.
I'm not saying like full on 50-50 or studs up, but like it needs to be that the subs are pushing,
challenging.
The substitutes, the reserves, they're pushing the 11 I want to play, you know, and then it becomes a bit of natural competition between. If it's just the starting 11's going to play every week and the sub's just there to fill it.
I've seen that a lot. There's that mentality from the subs sometimes that even in training you can see it's like they've already conceded that they're never going to play.
It's a bit sad.
And it's like, come on man, if you're not playing in the game, this is your game. This is your chance to run around and put pressure on the people above you and try and take a shirt in the starting lineup.
You make the manager make a decision.
Yeah.
If you've got
go and bully the player that's in your spot in training and make it hard for him and make him think, well, he's been dominating him in training. How do I justify picking him over him?
Exactly. I think a good coach for that is Luffy. He actually picks whoever's doing well in training or whoever's, you know, if you score 2 goals last game, then of course, you know, it's
form factors in.
It's in, but he is one somewhere that will put a player in, especially a young one if he's doing well, throw him in.
I think it's so important to make training important to the players, because if the players feel like training means nothing, then they're going to treat it as if it means nothing. And I find a lot of the time the coaches over here, they have favourites going into the season. They sign their maybe starting 11 that they want. They let the manager or committee sign the rest of the players, and they're just there to fill spots and make up the numbers in training. And the manager's not really interested in any of them and doesn't really give them a reason to put their all into training and really keep themselves fit. You see so many players come in pre-season fit, and by the end of the season, they've given up. They're starting to put on weight, they look out of shape, they're getting injured all the time because they're not taking training seriously anymore.
And speaking on behalf of someone in particular,
a handful of people, to be honest. I mean, it's not one person in particular. I would say there's quite a few offenders for that in Malta.
That's what I pinned that one.
I'm the king of avoiding, bro. I can avoid. But no, I mean, I've seen it at all the teams I've been at. Across the board, you just, especially when I was coaching, it's even easier to see. When I was coaching at Fgora, you could see the players that were hungry to try and get themselves into the team, and the players that knew that they weren't going to get picked and kind of just accepted that and cowered off into their own little shell and stopped training properly. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, we can see from your body language that you're not interested in playing the games anymore, so you're never going to play at that rate. You have to be holding yourself accountable if you actually want to get on the pitch. You have to put the effort in and really try hard.
That's true.
So we'll talk a little bit about next season. Obviously, you just said that the team looks good for next year. What are your plans for next year? I know that you're doing a lot of training at the moment, just running around outside.
Yeah, so in terms of the training, the fitness, I want to be, I just turned 30 and I kind of want to be the best version of 30 I can be.
Yeah.
So I know I'm getting older now, and if a lot of my style of play relies on strength and speed and explosive ability, and if I lose that, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I might have to drop into centre mid or start to do something like that. Change Yeah, I don't know about that, but because he's someone. But I don't know. I might have to figure a different way of playing. But right now, I think 30, I can have 1 or 2 good seasons before I start to set myself into a different role.
Physically, I can't see you declining in the next year or two. I think you manage yourself well, you know how your body works nowadays, and you know what sort of effort you need to put in to keep yourself at a certain level.
I think the problem is obviously work is getting it like every single day.
Yeah.
It's a battle at work, and then you have to come home and you do a run or you go.
I've just started doing 2 sessions a day on top of work, so
Yeah.
I'm doing.
That's what I'm doing too. Is exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're doing.
6 o'clock in the morning, I'm up at the field doing sprints or ball work or something like that with Melv, and we just had a young goalkeeper join us as well, who started training with us in the morning to get some sprints in. And then I go to work from like 7:30 till 4:30, get home, and then I'm straight off into the gym or to the field doing a session there. And at the gym we just started doing our heavy lifting and starting to put on a bit of muscle, get rid of some fat. But it's the first week has been grueling. It's trying to adjust to that schedule again. You're like napping every time you get free 20 minutes, it's straight into bed, nap, wake up, coffee, and you're just trying to keep yourself healthy enough to go. I found myself getting a little bit sick just from being out at that early in the morning, and obviously you start training, so you take your top off and then you walk home and it's quite chilly and you don't realise how cold it is and stuff like that. And
it's your own downfall, isn't it?
yeah, pick up a bit of a sniffle, so if my voice sounds a bit off today, it's probably why.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you have to start thinking now in the off season. So last season I was a little bit naughty. I kind of just after the off season I let it go.
Yeah,
I finished the season and I was like, you know what? After that playoff, I just want to go and enjoy myself, do whatever I want to do. But this season is a bit of a different mindset, so I'll come straight into the off season after that one, and I wasn't happy. If I'd have got to a playoff final, or if I'd have won the playoffs, I might have gone, okay, I can have a break and do it. But I feel a little bit like to go out in the first round of the playoff. For me, that's not why I go. That's not why. It's not why I train 5 times a week or 3 times a week now. But it's not why I do that every single thing. So when I also scored 6 in the 7 games, I kind of think to myself, alright, maybe there is still a bit of something in there. So I think, okay, imagine if I could get myself into top nick and see how I do next season. Maybe I can get double figures. Or
I would love to see you spend a full season at a team that play to your strengths.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, in the 2 or 3 seasons you've had over here now, you're leaving teams halfway through the season, having to learn a new system or jump into a new dressing room halfway through. You've not really had that stability where you're in a club that you know what you're doing and quite happy to play. Like let's say you stay Msida for the next season, this team stays relatively the same, they put a few improvements into the team that are needed. But there's no saying you can't score 15 goals.
No, but I also think it's a bit of a nature of Maltese football as well, though. The problem is like when you're sold a team. So when a team sells themselves to you, seldom lives up to what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So you hear the plan, and they don't really tell you what the plan is. So then you get there, and it's nothing like how
you pictured it.
Yeah. So you get there, and you're a little bit like, oh wow, this is a bad decision.
Yeah.
You know, in the first 2 weeks, you're a little bit like, oh no, I should not come here. That was the feeling I got after Melita. I was like, oh no, what have we done? And then obviously I tried to get back to Melita. I was like, eventually after a season, I said, can I come back? Not really now, Dan. You know, you've left us.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit, yeah. It would be nice to know, but now I know Msida. There's big plans for next season. Like I think there's going to be definitely. So they're going to build some new facilities. And that.
I was going to ask you what the facilities are like at the moment.
They've got plans approved to build new facilities. They're going to have their own stadium.
What is it? Training side you're on at the moment, or
no? We train at the school. I think it's Sally.
something like that. Yeah.
We train on the back of there, but they're having a lot of new stuff built. So some facilities put in. I think I don't want to speak too forward, but I'm pretty sure I heard there's going to be an injection of some money of some sort, or
so a real kind of push for promotion next year.
I think so. I think what they want to do is they want to try and put an infrastructure in. Now the only thing that worries me is how long is this going to take, because I'm 30 and it's a little bit
are you going to reap the benefits of it, or are you kind of just going to be the one that helps pave the way for the others to reap the benefits?
And there's a few that have got plans as well, like didn't know to mention this, but I had a bit of a chat with Sajiri the other day. They came and asked me what I want to do.
I've heard good things about Sajiri next year.
Yeah, it's
a player I know is a friend of the coach and says that he's been putting out some feelers and wants to build a promotion contending side next year.
And they had a chat with me actually. We had a chat and then I met them for a coffee and they spoke to me a little bit about the philosophies, and I could see from I played them last year, I scored 2 against them.
Yeah.
But I could see that they were trying to do things the right way. The only worry for me is with this club is it's a promise.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna do this, we want to work like that, we want to do that, and if you get there and it doesn't work out and they don't live up to it,
it's a big move to try and make to then be at the bottom because they didn't have a good season.
No, they finished below us, and it's like if it works out like it did with Luton, where they brought the money in, they got the players, and then they won the league. From the bottom of the league, they won the league.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, but you can always try and take those risks, but if it doesn't work out, it's another thing. So I think the next move for me is going to be 100% right. I hope it's going to be with Msida, but of course I need to know the plans.
Yeah.
They might bring another foreigner in. You don't know
exactly.
anything. You don't know anything.
Your position's never really secure.
No. So if they bring another foreigner and he's better than me,
you'll be on the
market there somewhere anyway. So let's see, you know, like that's why I want to come back as fit as possible and
give yourself the best chance to succeed.
Just be in the best shape, and if I get there and there isn't another foreigner there, and I want to stay there,
you can challenge. Yeah.
It's like, alright mate, well I scored what I scored last season, I'm fit now, and I take my shirt.
Exactly.
So
why don't you claim my boots while you're at it?
Knowing my luck, he'll end up dropping some little Neymar wannabe and taking me to school.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the thing here as well. You got so many foreigners coming now, Brazilians, and now we don't have the COVID restrictions.
That's what I was going to say. You're going to see the competition really ramp up again. Malta used to be one of those countries where pre-season would be filled with foreigners.
Yeah.
So many different players from all around the world coming in for 2-3 weeks. And you'd see over that 2-3 weeks, 1 or 2 of them would be kicked out slowly as the weeks go on, and then you're left with 4, 5, 6 players that are actually really good, and you're like, shit, there's a lot of competition here, and you have to end up doing the full pre-season to try and take your spot and actually being signed. So
I think the COVID restrictions have been good to me the last 1.5 years, because of course not everybody can get here.
Yeah.
With the airports not allowing everybody in.
It's giving you that platform to show yourself in a very positive light.
Well, they have to pick the foreigners that they know are settled on the island and have been here. So that's probably why I've had quite a lot of clubs interested in me. And now I've been in Malta 3 years and I know the league. So I think that kind of what helped me so much this season is like with the National Amateur League, I know it now.
Your confidence, even just talking to the clubs negotiating, it's no longer I need to sign for a club this year, it's I know clubs need to sign me, so who am I going to talk to, who can sell me instead of me trying to sell myself to them.
It's a bit like, it's definitely like that, and obviously also the style of play, the way things go. Like I know the way the ball drops now. I know the first season I got there, the ball's bouncing.
That bounce, bro.
Yeah, the first bounce, and you're thinking, wow, it doesn't do this on grass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's you kind of figure out, I know how it works now, I know how teams play, I know how to score goals.
Yeah.
So now it's a bit different. So it'll be an interesting one. I'll see what happens anyway. So
we're at the over the hour mark now. I'm going to go for a few final questions, get to know Danny Claridge, and then we'll start to wrap up. So Dan, tell me, who's your favourite player in football?
My favourite player in current football or ever?
Go ever.
Steven Gerrard.
Stevie G.
Yeah.
Were you one of those kids that used to scream in the playground?
Yeah.
Gerrard! Every time you take a shot.
Whenever I hit the ball.
Every time.
Gerrard.
Rooney was another one of those guys.
That's the one.
Inspired the generation of people in their loafers at school, just banging balls out over the fence, screaming Gerrard or Rooney.
Yeah, Gerrard was top man for me. I just love him. He's a typical quality English midfielder. He can hit the ball perfectly with both feet. His technical ability is fantastic. He can tackle, he can score.
Game changer.
Yeah.
He can put a team on his back and carry the team through a match.
People try to compare him with like Scholes, Lampard, they're all different players, but for me Gerrard was the one that I felt single-handedly won games.
Yeah, I think in those three, if you're talking about the best player, I'd probably go Scholesy. If you're talking about who's going to win you a match and who you actually want in your team, it's Gerrard.
Yeah.
And then Lampard's the other one that's coming on the side.
If you need a goal, it's Lamp. If you need a goal, it's Lamp.
Has your favourite player changed at all as you were growing up, or were you always a Stevie G fan from little kid?
I think as I got older, I started to enjoy some other football players as well. For example, like now, I really love Thiago Alcantara. So
He's just classy, isn't he? Everything he does is so smooth.
Man, I watched him the other day against Man United, and I've never seen a performance like that. It was unbelievable.
He's graceful.
You're playing against one of the best teams in the world, well, not at the minute, but biggest club in the world, and he's taking the ball and dinking it over players and flipping it and chipping it, and you just you think to yourself, wow, it's a throwback.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So yeah, I like him.
What team do you support?
I'm a Leeds fan.
Is that local club or taken on from parents or?
No, so I'm a bit naughty. I grew up as a kid, I was a Liverpool fan, so that's why it was Gerrard.
Yeah.
But I moved to Leeds and I got access to watching them week in, week out.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, whenever I wasn't playing, I got the chance to go and see them, just like a friend of mine could get me in a box or I got tickets. Yeah. But when you see a team, Leeds is one of the biggest clubs in the world, and the fans are they're the best, probably one of the best in England. We had another 23s game last night, and they got more crowds than Watford, Burnley, just from under 23 for their first teams. Yeah. So that shows just how big a club it is, and I was mesmerised when I got there. When I was in Ellen Road, I fell in love. So that's why I had to say, look, I do love Liverpool, but this is my club. So.
Right. Next question. As a striker, would you rather score 25 tap-ins in a season or 17 worldies?
17 worldies.
You going worldies?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Well, it doesn't matter if you score 17, mate, you still score a good amount of goals, don't you? So
but
if it's 17 worldies, it's good for me because I like to show a bit of class.
You're the first person I thought would. Yeah, Melvin went completely opposite direction. We were having a discussion about stats, bro. 25 goals. People don't need to know that they were tap-ins. You just tell people they were good.
He's less mobile than me.
Right, Champions League or win the World Cup?
World Cup.
You going World Cup?
Yeah, because as an England fan,
it's been too long.
It's been a bit long, isn't
it? Score a last-minute winner or score a hat-trick?
Hat-trick.
Hat-trick?
Yeah.
You greedy guy.
I've not scored one yet.
Have you not?
No, I keep getting braces. Okay. I've got a few braces, but I've not got a hat-trick yet.
You got a celebration plan for if you score a hat-trick?
I said, to be fair, I told our reserve goalkeeper, he said, when you score, come and speak to me on the bench. And I keep saying that one day I want to come and join him on the bench. Come and give him But there was one time we were playing against an opposition coach, and he'll know who he is if he ever listens to this podcast, which he probably won't, because he probably don't understand English. But he's from a very dark and mysterious place in Malta, but he was always telling me to go back to my country. But one day, when we play him, if I score, I'm going to go and join him on his bench. I'm going to go and sit next to him.
I've thought about that. I've thought about some of the past clubs that I've played for. If I scored against them, I'd have one of their shirts on underneath. Take my shirt off, throw their shirt on the floor, give it a little elbow drop. But I've got to get on the field first, so...
Maybe a good pre-season, you'll end up on the field.
Exactly. I'm putting in the work. Yeah. Who's the best player you've played alongside in your career?
Wow, that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Can I go against?
That was the next question.
Okay, well, I'll go against first.
Okay.
I played against Jamie Vardy.
Okay.
He's probably the best player I've ever played against,
Yeah. Was that in your non-league days?
Yeah, so it was when he was playing for Stocksbridge, and he just come from Sheffield Wednesday, and
he was good.
It wasn't like I see on the TV now, but it was just small, fast, agile, and he just it was more of a winger then though. Yeah. And then
What position were you playing then?
As a fullback.
Okay. Yeah. So you got to be a bit up close to him.
Come up against him a bit, yeah. But no, he was a good player.
Could you see him getting to the Premier League at that time, or?
No, nobody would have thought it. It was just
No.
one of the many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who have I played with? Best player I've played with.
You can say me, but I know I'm top 3 at least.
I'll say we'll go you then. You. You're
Oh, thanks, Dan.
We'll say you.
I don't even think we played together. I keep getting kicked out of the team.
Wait, I need to think. Who's the best player I've ever played with?
While you're thinking about that, think about one player that you think could be playing at a high level. So one guy that you want to shine a bit of a spotlight on. Who have you played with or against, or someone that you know that's...
In Malta?
Yeah, it could be in Malta, it could be... I mean, back home now, it would have been a couple of years ago, so probably...
I think probably a shout out to this one lad at Kirkop. He's only, I think he'll be 19 now. His name's Msida St.
Yeah.
He's a young
He's
player.
good on the ball.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Hard to take off, dribbles well.
Yeah,
dribbles
exactly.
and speed.
And he's so slim and small, but he's strong as well.
Yeah.
So he's got that agility and the strength.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, Kirkop have got him tied down to a contract. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They're probably trying to keep hold of him, but I think that he should be playing somewhere a bit higher, as soon as possible. And then there's the other one. I can't remember his first name, but the lad at Msida St.
Okay.
He's a very good player. I can see him going pretty far. And then one more player as well. He was at Msida, but he's going to Slima. His name's Jake. I can't remember his second name. Jake. He's a good little player.
We'll confirm that after the podcast and look him up. And I'll put him on the screen behind us.
Yeah, he's a good lad. So these three, I think, in Malta have got good futures.
Yeah. Right, final question. Would you rather a 5-year deal at £1,000 a week for Leeds United or 300k a week in Qatar for 2 years?
What, at this age?
Take age out of it.
I go to Qatar, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd love to play at Leeds, but
It's money, bro.
that money's going to buy me a house.
Exactly.
It's
That's
gonna
your future secured.
Yeah, it's going to set my kids up.
I think you'll tough find a footballer that will turn down 300k a week.
I'd have that, mate. I'd be all over it.
Yeah. You see a lot of people, especially fans, will always say, "Oh no, I'd love to play for my club." Nah, come on.
No.
Money's money, bro. It's a business. It's a job.
Exactly.
Sometimes you've got to look after yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right, that's the end of Get to Know Danny.
Oh, best player I ever played with.
You got the answer.
Aidan Flint at Cardiff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was at Alfreton when I was there.
Okay.
So yeah, good player.
Is he at Cardiff now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good lad.
How old was he when you were playing together? Is he young or kind of...
A little bit older than me. Because I was coming into the Alfreton. It was like Alfreton under 19s and the reserves.
Yeah.
So we were just coming in after I'd been let go and that. So yeah, a bit older than me then. But we didn't play too much together, but like 1 or 2 games. Yeah, it was good. We ended up going all the way through and up to.
It's funny, you see a lot of the players that come from non-league, they do find their way into the league system eventually. Bit of hard work, bit of determination. Right, Dan, to finish off the podcast, give some sort of advice that you would give to players, let's say English players or foreign players that are trying to make it in another country. What advice can you give to them, having done it yourself?
Oh God, advice for people that want to come here. Just take it as it is, as an adventure. Don't think too much about the here and now, and I don't know. I think the problem I always had here was I wanted things to happen really fast, and I was always comparing it to the older life. So obviously, the time I played in Norway or the time I played in England, always comparing the standards and stuff. And I think the best thing to do is just not compare. It's just to take it as it is, enjoy it, enjoy having something like a completely new experience, and just think how many of your friends have played in foreign countries. You know, most people, they come out of a pro club, they get released, they end up playing non-league for the rest of their life, probably end up doing a job on the side and never come out of England. I think if you're lucky enough to play in another country, you get to have some fantastic experience, meet different people from different cultures. Like playing in Norway was good, it was fantastic. It was new because in Norway, I got to sort of come into grips with like playing in snow and ice and freezing cold weather. So that's like one experience. That's something I'll never forget, playing and my beard freezing up whilst you're playing. So that's like that. And then coming to Malta and being like, some of the days it's fucking
scorching.
It's hot and you're playing and you're training. But I think what's the best thing about Malta is being in touch with so many different football players. Like, I played against a lad that was a starting 11s player at Boca Juniors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Brazilians that have come from like Flamengo, from Msida. You end up playing against people that have been there, done it.
There's such a wealth of experience over here. Just so many different backgrounds and histories come together in this country.
You're playing against Brazilians, Spanish, Africans. There's so many different people from different countries.
It's a great gateway country into European football.
Yeah.
I think that's why you see so many random countries end up here.
Exactly. So I think the advice is just to like take it all in. Don't fight the system. Just try to get in and enjoy it as much as possible, and be patient with it, because I think when you look back, what's so good about, I give Malta as an example, everything's so well documented here, and the football is well followed here, and professionally done. So I look back now and I've almost played 50 games here, and I'm coming up, I think I played 43 so far, and I'm coming up to my 50th game in Malta, and these are like stats that are going to live with me. I'm going to be here for a long time, so just enjoy it, experience, get on with your training, do well, eat well as much as you can, and just
stay off the pastizzi.
Yeah, just embrace being in a different culture, and avoid patchwork. Yeah.
Right, guys, that's the end of the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast, episode 3. Daniel Claridge, thank you very much for coming on. It's been well in the works for a couple of months now, but I finally managed to get this guy to come on and share a bit about himself. Guys, if you did enjoy the episode, do leave a like, subscribe for more. We're going to have some great guests coming on in the future. And this has been us for today, signing off. Give a wave, Dan.
Cheers, mate. See you in a bit.